Hi, my name is Rickie. I will be looking into ethanol and the truth about ethanol. I wanted to look into ethanol because of the recent discussions we had in lectures, and the good and the bad. I really wanted to look into the bad of it because it was so unaware of me to me when I first learned about it. I did not know much about ethanol, like the bad about ethanol. I knew the good, but I didn't know much about the bad. Ethanol started back when Henry Ford was around. He made the first car out of ethanol fuel, corn fuel, and then gasoline was then introduced to us, and it was cheaper and easier to make and more resourceable. Then in the 1990s, the Clean Air Act of 1990 came around, and it was less carbon dioxide that was emitted into the air. So then ethanol became really popular again, and also it was cheap for consumers. Ethanol is made by a long process of taking the corn and mushing it down into a starchy mash of stuff, and then it is heated. Then enzymes are put into it with the heat to break down into fermentable sugars, which is then you add yeast to the fermentable sugars, which then kind of makes an alcohol watery base. Then it goes through a really hot container where it separates the alcohol and water from each other. Then the alcohol is added to about 2 to 5% of gasoline to make our ethanol today. I interviewed a lot of people about ethanol and its goods and bads. The next couple of slides are going to be about what I talked to them about, what I asked them about, and the numbers behind it. So beginning with energy, ethanol uses about 76,330 BTUs of energy per gallon. Gasoline uses about 85,000 BTUs of energy per gallon. This makes ethanol more efficient, it seems like, because it's about 9,000 BTUs less than gasoline. But in all reality, ethanol uses about 1.7 BTUs to produce 1 BTU of ethanol at the fuel pump. Unlike gasoline uses about 1.23 BTUs to produce 1 BTU at the pump, which makes gasoline better than ethanol. Ethanol, 2.5 to 2.64 gasolines of ethanol per bushel, which is 8 gallons of corn. This is an extremely shocking number, I know, and I found it shocking myself. It just goes to show that we have to use a lot of corn to make ethanol. There's also a huge other controversy that's going on behind ethanol. There's the food versus fuel. But right now, about 3% of corn harvested is used for ethanol. The rest is for animal feed, food, and food for humans. Although it's only 3%, it might have to go up due to more people using ethanol because it's our only renewable resource right now. It seems like most common renewable resource that we can get a hold of, which makes it more difficult for us, more pricey, and then there's a controversy if we should actually use that corn for food. The leftover corn stover that we use to make ethanol is given to animal feed, which makes it seem like animal feed is well off right now, but actually it's really not. Animal feed has reduced from 56 pounds to 17 pounds because of ethanol. The economics behind ethanol, the total amount of money to produce ethanol is way higher than the money that is returned. The graph below is a good example. The red is to be the amount of money that we're putting into ethanol. The yellow is the total cost per gallon, and the blue is the amount of money that is given back, is returned back to us. And this is a great graph to show that we're putting so much into making this ethanol and we're not getting enough back. Also, ethanol causes gas prices to go down. Gas prices were recently reduced to $0.395 per gallon. After I gave these examples to my interviewees, I asked them, is it good for our future, and what should we do instead? I personally believe that it's not good for our future. We shouldn't rely on ethanol being our main renewable resource. We need to first look at making our engines more efficient, then slowly look into renewable resources. Right now, our world is into the first generation of renewable resources, which is not good. It's working, but it's not efficient enough for us to use. It's not actually being enough to make a huge change in our impact on the environment. So we need to study more about renewable resources, get to know more about this, then we can start using them again. My interviewees were just the 5 interviewees that I really was interested in. They looked at one wanted to look at other alternative resources like electric. Another wanted to research other potentials and stop investing in production of ethanol. Another person said we should be using resources such as sun that given us to us originally, and we can always get energy from it. Another wanted to know that people shouldn't have to change from gasoline, we just need to make our cars more efficient. And another person said ethanol isn't a good long-term goal. We should look more into hydrogen-based cars or electric cars. Problem with the electric cars and hydrogen-based cars, we need gasoline, coal to make these cars, to make hydrogen or electric. So these cars are still running on gasoline, which is emitting CO2 into our environment, and it's just not good. The sunlight is a good way, it's very, very expensive for us right now, so it's a little bit hard to do. And I also believe that ethanol is protecting us from our GHG emissions, which is greenhouse gas emissions, but it also is putting out phosphorus, nitrous oxide, sulfur oxide, which is causing our air to be even worse. And it's predicted that 245 premature deaths are going to happen in the near future because of it. And that's just shocking. We should really look into other resources. Recent resource that I found that I think is a good start would be waste, because it's also helping with our waste control. And there are multiple resources. I recommend looking into them in the near future. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you understood a lot more about ethanol.